Hello, and this is a book review. Interesting ideas and takeaways that I found in this book, The Elephant in the Brain. Let's see what we got. The first one is, the elephant is referring to the ego inside of us that oftentimes is deceiving us in many ways to hide the real motive. This comes back over and over in this book. The elephant, what it refers to is to the part of us that always has some motives, but it's hidden. So it's the big thing that going in the big thing in the elephant in the room, but just in the brain. We can ignore it, but it's there. You can ignore, but it's a big thing. This one is, grooming helps to form trust or politics in times. So grooming back in the days helped to form trust in politics, because when you're with a person for a long time, you form trust, and also help with politics, because whoever you trust, you can talk to them, you have this time. Next one is, helping in fights, for example, help earn prestige, which can be transferred to mating or food. So when you help another ape, with a fight, that puts you higher in the hierarchy, earn prestige, and can be transferred. What it means for that ape is mating options and food, more food. Next one is, we prefer explanation that makes us feel good. In general, when we have some explanations for ourselves and for others, we prefer the ones that makes us feel more good about ourselves. Next one is, dominance versus prestige. Dominance is more risky than prestige, but both put you higher in the hierarchy. Really interesting distinction. Dominance is earned by power, and prestige is earned by respect. But both, that's the interesting thing is here, that both put you higher in the hierarchy. You can get there by two ways. The question is how. Next one is, prestige, just like dominance, is a zero-sum game. It's not like someone doesn't have it. It's not like, it's another similarities to dominance is that someone is losing here. It's not a non-zero sum game. So whoever is higher, one is lower. Next one is, politics or coalition work in two ways, either stabbing and cheating or handshaking and grooming. So there is two ways to politics and coalition to work. So it's either by stabbing and cheating, so that's like one of the ways, and the other way is to handshake and to be like cool about it. So two ways, not necessarily is better than the other. The next one is, norms is a reverse dominance, meaning the collective has control on whoever deviate from that norm. So norm, it's some kind of a dominance actually, that whoever deviate from the norm, we have control, because we will infect them. I will explain in other ones what it means. Next one is, weapons change the possibilities of weaker members, because he can now kill the dominance member. So that's kind of change the hierarchy. That's kind of like put into question the regular hierarchy of whoever is physically strong now. Used to be the dominance. Now weapons are put that into question. So is, they also decided to enforce the norms. That's about the one in the previous one is reputation in gossip. So by both of those, we enforce the norm. Reputation and gossip, that helps to put everyone into place. And meta norms refer to the fact that it's acceptable to report any crime, and by that to enforce the norm. So this is how we enforce the norm in today's life. We call the police about something that happened, and that's kind of enforcing the norm, which in this case it's the law. Next one is, there was a arms race with cheating and detecting among our ancestors. One become better at cheating, and then the other one is some kind of an evolution thing, try to become a better detector of that cheating, and that's kind of produced an arm race. This one is humans found their way to rags since it's not considered as okay to be blunt about it. So they found their way of going around. So it could be by advertising some kind of resources. So money in other ways. You can buy expensive clothes, cars, etc., etc. And because it's not okay to get into the room. Oh, I earn $1 million a year. It's not okay, but we have our ways. Next one is we deceive ourselves in order to better manipulate others rather than repressing memories. This one is interesting. When we deceive ourselves, it's better way to manipulate others than suppressing the memories and the way you actually feel. So when you deceive yourself, it's better to deceive others. And this is going along with the next one is deceiving others is good for not needing to lie, which is hard and consequences carry job. That's why it's easier to convince in other way or deceive ourselves to do or to show one thing over the other. Because lying is expensive. It takes a lot of energy, and it's consequences. If you consciously lie about it, it's bad. But if you didn't know, okay, that's okay. It's interesting. Next one is self-deception helps maintain positive social view. Again with the other ones, because this is how we show that we are good. We didn't try to harm no one, and that helps us to maintain good positive social view. But if we lie or we did something wrong and we still remember that, that's bad. Next one is the brain is much like a social environment rather than a committee. So there is like this no thing. I don't remember the name of the movie. It's like a comedy Pixar movie. Not Grown Ups. It's I don't remember the name, but they showed that the brain is some kind of a committee. So I think it's made of like 5 kind of like creatures that control your brain. So sad, happy, and all that stuff. What he claims is that the brain is more like a social environment. There is like a lot of power play between politics, and then there is a lot of things that goes into place, not like a committee. So there's motives versus reasons. Motives are what drawing us to make the act, while reasons are the explanation we give for it. So that's this distinction between motives and reasons. Again, the motives are what makes us do the act, and then we explain that with all kinds of we have our reasons to explain what happened. Next one is the brain is just like a press secretary, always explaining and defending, even when far-fetched. I like it. I don't think it's the idea of press secretary, the analogy of press secretary. I don't think it's his. But I like this idea that it's always trying to defend with whatever way necessary, even when it looks ridiculous. This one is most of nonverbals are subliminal and subconscious. It's pretty much the same idea, I know. But it's mostly not under our control, and it's not conscious. The next one is when we feel trusted, we touch others. So we're more likely to touch others when we trust them. Of course, that's a little generalization, but that's the idea. Next one is social awkwardness, often caused by unclear social hierarchy. So sometimes, when there is awkwardness, especially in people that don't know each other, sometimes will be awkwardness. Not always, but often caused by unclear. So when it's not clear who is that dominance one, sometimes awkwardness will be the result. Next one is the length of eye contact is directly related to dominance or submissive behavior. The higher the eye contact, the higher the dominance. I like this idea too. I think they have studies. They studied that. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly where. So whoever maintains the longer eye contact is usually the dominance one, and the submissive one will look down and won't look straight in his eyes. We are not good at reading body language. Could be because it's very complicated, but more likely because it's discrete and ambiguous. So he gives like some kind of two theories of why we're not such a good at reading this. We all like to read our books, but we're not good at reading this. Could be because it's complicated, but he said because it's discrete. It's not obvious what's going on, and could be ambiguous. So it's not complicated, but it's not that obvious what it means. Next one is laughter is a social thing that's why sometimes TV shows add laughter sound in order to make us feel in a social situation. So laughter is a social thing. When we try to socialize, we show that we're a good social, not mate, but some kind of a social friend. We're good friends. We could be relied. We are more likely to laugh. And this one, going with the next one, is the laughter as a play signal. We laugh in order to signal others that we are playing, not fighting. And that's again with the previous one. It's really interesting. So when we laugh, we show that we are meant good. We mean good. We're not trying to fight. So that's some kind of like trust in some way. Again, laugh we have here. Laugh is a signal of safety. When something threatening becomes safe, we're more likely to laugh. So that's kind of in general how actual laugh, when something threatening became safe, we're more likely to laugh. That's what happens in movies. Sometimes it's like threatening language or all kinds of other things they're trying to do. That's reduce laugh. We have another one on laugh. Laugh depends on the closeness we feel. We might laugh on pain of other people that are far from us. So we're more likely to laugh about pain of other people that are not close to us. When someone fall right next to us, we're like, oh, what happens? And we're gonna go check it out, and we're not as likely to laugh, which could happen sometimes. But if we are far from that person, we're more likely to laugh. Next one is listening have benefits such as learning. Sometimes new or back in the days, you learn about storms, food, location, etc. So listening to the other person, I'm sure it's also applicable to this day, but used to be why you listen, why we are good listeners in general, because you actually learn some things. Back in the days, could be storms, food locations, and all kinds of things you could learn by listening. A conversation is we care more about the tools the speaker has to offer rather than the facts. I really like this idea. In conversation, he has like this backpack tool. So in conversation, everyone comes with a backpack and show what tools he has. The more tools you have, which means about the tools, I'm gonna explain a little bit about it in the next one, but we mostly care about the facts. About the tools that we bring to the conversation rather than the facts. The facts, that does not matter as much as the tools and what the tools are. So this one explaining this. In a conversation, random facts are not as valuable as facts that are related. This show that you are useful in many situations that you are not necessarily chose to talk about. So that's my random facts. When you you can say like, yes, but if we really care about information, why it's not just that good to have like, okay, so I learned this and that, this and that, this and that. Why we don't do that? Because this is not shows how useful you are. You need to be useful. So random facts, no one cares about random facts. We care about how applicable they are, how useful, and what we said here, what good tools you have, what kind of tools you have that can help me in my life. Really interesting. I like this idea very much. The next one is conspicuous consumers. Means that we consume things in order to be more competitive and to show off. This is why we are being conspicuous consumers. We show off because that shows we want to buy an expensive watch. or expensive car, because hashtag will be more competitive. Next one is the engineers at Toyota designed the Prius to look different because it will help people to single their green car to others. So they try to make it different, and by showing that this is different, people can signal, oh look, I have a green car, so it looks different and weird, but in a good way. And they established that the Prius is going along with green, so people are totally okay with showing that off. So that's a very conspicuous as well. Next one is the new type of advertising lifestyle and restructuring your brain. So this is how the new type of advertising works. They advertise lifestyle, which means like, oh, this is what you can have. They're not advertising one necessarily good about the product. Is, oh, when you drink Corona, for example, this is a lifestyle thing. It's not just like whatever the beer itself do. So there's third person effect in advertising. So what it means is that maybe an ad didn't work on you, but you would want to signal others that product to other people. So that's the third person effect. Yeah, maybe you are smart, so you might help work on some people, but on you, maybe because you're sophisticated, it won't work on you, but it will still work on you in other ways, because let's say you know Corona, everyone during Corona, so when you go to the store, you know that other people likes Corona, and you will get Corona. So even when it doesn't work on you directly, it works in you in the back door. It's really interesting. So is when BMW advertises in magazines, most people cannot afford it, but they establish envy and luxury brands. That's really interesting. So I always was like, yeah, who will actually buy that from the magazine? But it's not only that. Yeah, maybe you're not gonna buy it through this, but first of all, it helps some people buy, or they plant a seed in their brain. But most people, it's just like, now they want, I'm gonna see the magazine, I want this BMW, and then when I see someone with it, I'm gonna say, oh, this guy is good, he has it. So they establish envy and the luxury brand. Next one is, in arts, we care greatly about how much efforts was invested into it. So it doesn't matter how good it is, if we know something is get invested in it a long time, we care more about it. So art is a fitness signaling that signal, I have enough time and resources to spend. That's what art shows, and that's the thing with resources is reiterated again and again all along through this book. Art is one of them, so could be also advertisement, and there is a few more, but here in art, it also shows, I have a long time, I have a lot of time for myself to spend doing this stuff. Next one is, diversifying charity donation makes no sense. It's actually not beneficial since there is no risk like stocks. So some people are diversifying in charity, but there is no risk. The reason you diversify allocations is for decrease the risk. But if there is no risk, because you donate money, there is no reason to do so. And also, in addition, in fact, it's actually cost more money to collect if you allocate and diversify, because every donation costs percentage or costs human time to collect everything. That's interesting. Next one is, donating money is advertising status. That's why it feels good to donate. It is the glow effect. When we donate money, we're advertising the status, and it's the glow effect. We walk, we feel good about ourselves because we donated money. Next one is, donating to charity is showing you have resources, just like having an expensive car. Going back to the resources, you show you have resources, which makes you put you higher in the hierarchy, more wanted. And donating to charity is one of them. Next one is we donate spontaneously, because that shows you are a good ally. And you might do the same to a friend or wherever close by. This is why we do it spontaneously. And again, it's not, this whole thing are not conscious or subconscious. And this whole idea of allies is also reiterating along throughout this book. And the spontaneous part of it is that people, oh, he might do the same for me. So that helps to have that shows you're a good ally. Next one is education is singling. You show you can earn an A in biology class regardless of what you actually know. And remember, you're the kind of person that can do it if you want. I really like this one too. Singling, again, also another idea that goes throughout this book, is we signal. And in this case, when you get an A in biology class, you show, oh, look, I did it. Even though I don't remember anything, but you are a kind of person that can do if you want. So that's a signal that you are a person that theoretically can do so, not necessarily what you remember. This is not that important. Next one is medicine is the modern equivalent of kiss the boo. Well, I like that. It gives the idea of modern medicine. So there is like going a lot to doctors. So that's kind of, oh, I'm sorry, and that might help, but this doesn't do much. Next one is support while sick was beneficial back in the days when you can only survive with help. This is why we look for support, and this is why we also support others. It's also explained in the next one, but so support, what it shows when you get, why we like to get support or to receive and to give, is because back in the days, if you didn't have support, you're dead. And this is why you need allies and friends and support. Next one is conspicuous support shows that you have allies which can keep your interest intact. That's another reason we like that, is because that shows to other people that you have allies, so they're not gonna try steal things from you, or they keep interest. So that's a very good thing, and we want it. Next one is we use way too much medicine, which proved to be useless. Conspicuous medicine is highly prevalent but not necessarily helpful. So that's really interesting as well. We consume too much medicine, and they proved that it's not actually helpful. Conspicuous medicine is highly prevalent but not necessarily helpful. Again, we do it a lot, but the actual result they found, this is not as helpful. Next one is religion is signaling that you are trustworthy. By investing your free time, you show loyalty to the rest of the group. And that's what one thing about religion is, that you signal again, that you invest in your free time, not to the rest of the group. So that's kind of like some kind of a loyalty way to show others I'm trustworthy and I can be trusted, because you have skin in the game. That there is some kind of a phrase, and this is what you show. Next one is we tend to live in communities that are similar to us because resources are better distributed when everyone are on the same page. It's a better economically in more ways to show to live in communities that are similar to us. Next one is religious clothing is like a brand. You show you are a part of something, and you're also defending of that brand. So that's why if we're religious, we tend to show that with clothing. Because what it shows is that you're a part of something, you're a part of the group, and also defend means that when you go with specific clothing, you are advertising that good. And if you do something wrong, you take responsibility for that brand, which in this case is the religion. The next one is the volcano analogy. We all strive for the highs until it's too late, and we fall into it. It's religion, sugars, and any other highs that exist. So that's kind of, I think, more towards the summary. We always strive for the highs, and the volcano analogy means that that's the mountain. We go up high and high and high. We always want more, and until we fall into the hole at the top of the volcano. Be religion when you want, and sugars, and any other things that trying to take you higher, but you might fall. Next one is in swing states, it makes more sense to vote. So some people, if you are deciding to do or to not, in swing state, it actually makes more difference than in non-swing states, because you make more difference, in other words, even though mathematically you cannot prove this exactly, because you can always say that. That's some kind of a side note, that you can always say that I'm not going to make any difference, and it's only one never going to make the difference, but you have more power in some way. Next one is in politics, we signal our loyalty to one group over the other by doing conspicuous activities. More likely to do and perform conspicuous activities while we are associated with a specific political group. And we have the conclusion. To conclude, we ignore the elephant because it's strategic to do so. This is like some kind of a summary. We ignore it because it actually helps us, and that's why the brain and the elephant in the brain. It's actually a strategy we implemented in order to live better and more efficiently, because it's easier that way. That's why sometimes we actually also will also ignore the elephant in the room, because sometimes it doesn't worth accepting and acknowledging that elephant. So that's gonna summarize this whole thing. That's pretty much it. In general, I really enjoyed that book. I really recommend that. Whoever likes evolutionary psychology, that's all of that book. It takes many different ideas about our life, like education, religion, conversation, charity, everything, and looking that through or with some kind of a psychology or evolutionary psychology lenses. That I love it. I definitely give that book 5-star, and I'm probably gonna revisit that book later on. All right, that's pretty much it. Thank you.